Well, for more on this, I'm joined by political analyst Ayesha Kajee in Johannesburg. Thank you for your time. Firstly, an historic day in Khartoum, but we've been here before, haven't we, with the failed 2015 peace deal. Do you think this latest agreement will be successful?
I'm hopeful that it will be, because I have a very real affection for the Southern Sudanese as people. But however, I think that it really depends on the political will of the two main players, Mr. Kiir and Mr. Machar. In the past, they've put personal interests and personal desires and ambitions to achieve power ahead of the stability and security of the South Sudanese people. So one hopes that the experience we've had over the past few years has actually taught them an object lesson, both of them, and that they will strive now to maintain the peace. In the past, we've seen peace deals collapse within hours of being signed. Mr. Kiir has stated very, very explicitly that this one will not collapse. However, it's going to be very much a wait-and-see issue, especially given that Mr. Machar has in the past competed for power against Mr. Kiir. Also given that this current peace deal does not differ substantially from the transactional nature of previous peace deals with power-sharing quotas, for example, with Mr. Machar once again becoming the first vice president of 5 vice presidents, a pre-transition period, a set number of ministers per party in government, etc. So there is no substantive depth to this peace agreement beyond previous agreements, and that is quite worrying because some of the underlying causes of the conflict still exist.
Yes, and South Sudan's independence from neighbouring Sudan in 2011 came about after Africa's longest-running civil war, but the new nation descended into its own war just a couple of years later. Can you explain to us what's behind the internal conflict in South Sudan?
It's largely rivalry between the two largest ethnic groups, the Nuer and the Dinka, to which Mr. Machar and Mr. Kiir belongs respectively. So there is that ethnic rivalry, but there is also a rivalry over the sharing of the spoils of South Sudan's richest resource, among many rich resources. And of course, that richest resource is oil, and the way the oil benefits are shared has been, since the independence of the country in 2011, very opaque, very unequal, and very unclear to lay people. South Sudanese civilians expected that they would actually benefit from the oil wealth of the country, yet many of them remain in poverty. Infrastructure has not improved substantially, except perhaps within and between major urban centers like Juba and Malakal. But otherwise, many South Sudanese still live in abject poverty. They're free from the domination and the oppression of Sudan, of the Republic of Sudan, of the Arabization of their country. But unfortunately, they've been subjected to this ethnic conflict, which is underlain by economic realities.